So if you'll fill in your table of contents for me, and then I'm going to go ahead and flip on over to that page. And I have this written down. If you'll pause and write these steps for me, that will speed up how we're going to do these notes. So go ahead and write those. Okay, so when you're graphing quadratic equations, just remember that the equation is ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, we're going to do a lot of this calculator based. That's the cool thing about quadratics is it can take a lot of calculator stuff. So there's a lot of calculator tricks that are very beneficial. So for your calculator tricks, what you're going to do is put the equation in y equals, and then you're going to find the vertex using, you have to press second trace. You're going to pick number 3 or 4, depending on if it's a max or a min, and then follow the prompts that, that it gives you. After that, you're going to go to the table, and then you're going to put the vertex in the middle of your blank table and fill in the points around it. Then you'll graph the picture on your worksheet and find the domain and range. Excuse me. So now that you have that written, you should have this paper. And what we're going to do, real easy, follow those steps. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to put in x squared, and we're going to graph it. Okay, when you graph it, the reason you're graphing it is you need to know, is this curve a maximum or a minimum? Well, this curve, and I'm going to write it so I know, is a min, so I don't get my button wrong. Okay, so now that I know that, I'm going to follow this step 2. We're going to press second trace, so second trace. And this is why I said 3 or 4. Since this is a min, you're going to press 3. And then you follow the prompts. When it says left bound, you're going to move your cursor and just get somewhere on the left side of the curve and hit enter. And then when it says right bound, you're going to do the same thing and get somewhere on the right side of the curve and hit enter. And then when it says guess, you're just going to hit enter. Now, the thing that's really confusing if you don't pay close attention to what I'm saying is when your calculator has e's in it, that means you have the scientific notation going on so that you're moving these decimals over, which means that it is really, really, really close to 0. So in reality, for this problem, your vertex is 0, 0, because both of them had e's. Okay, so now from here, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the table in the calculator. And I know the vertex is 0, 0, so I'm going to put that right in the middle of my table. And I'm going to find 0, 0, and I'm going to put -1, 1, and -2, 4, the 2 points above it. And then I'm going to put 1, 1, and 2, 4, the 2 points below it, and fill in my table. Okay, to find your axis of symmetry, it's always the x, or let's go this way. I'll do it a better way. We're going to plot -2, 4, -1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, and 2, 4. And then I'm going to draw in my parabola as best as I can. Okay, remember that an axis of symmetry is where you can fold it in half, and I could fold it in half right there. That line is on the x-axis at 0. Or a cheat way to do it, it's always the x from your vertex. Now to find domain, you got to look to see how far left it goes, and if I scan to the left, I have an arrow. And you're going to look to see how far right it goes, and if I scan to the right, I have an arrow, so my domain is all real numbers. For my range, I'm going to change colors so you can see this. When I scan down, this is as low as it goes, and as I scan up, it goes up forever. So I'm going to put y, leave a gap, and this pink line I drew is at 0 on the y-axis. And since the graph is going, above, that means greater than or equal to, because I do have a point exactly at 0, 0. Okay, that's how you're going to do this worksheet. So let's do a couple more examples so you can see some small changes. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to y equals, and we're going to type in -x squared minus 8x minus 17. And we're going to graph it. Okay, now this time, this one gives me a maximum. So I'm going to put max right there so I know. The reason it's max is because it curves at the top. So the first thing I'm going to do is press second trace. I want number 4 this time. When it says left bound, you see how you don't even see the cursor? So you got to move it until you can see the cursor and have it blink somewhere on the left side of the curve and hit enter. Move back and have it blink somewhere on the right side of the curve and hit enter. And then guess you just hit enter. and it tells you your maximum is -4, -1. So my vertex is -4, -1, and I'm going to go ahead and write that right in the middle. I do already know my axis of symmetry because your axis of symmetry is always your x from your vertex. And then I'm going to go to the table, and I'm going to find -4, 1, and I'm going to take the 2 points above it, so -5, -2, and -6, -5. And I'm going to take the 2 points below it, -3, -2, and -2, -5. And now I'm going to plot my points. -6, -5, -5, -2, -4, -1. Okay, there's my points. Drawing in my parabola. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. I want to see you draw your axis of symmetry so you don't forget that. There's your axis of symmetry. And now I'm going to find my domain and my range. My domain, starting at my axis of symmetry, if I go left, it goes left forever. If I go right, it goes right forever. So my domain is all real numbers. And my range, if I go down, it goes down forever. But if I go up, it stops right here. And that is at -1 on the y-axis. And since the graph is going below -1, this would be less than or equal to, because it is exactly at -1. Okay, 2 more examples, then you got some on your own. So y equals, let's clear this out. We got 2x squared plus 8x. Now, if you notice, this problem doesn't have a c. That's okay. We're going to graph it. Okay, this is, again, a minimum. So I'm going to go ahead and write min so I know. And I am going to do second trace, number 3 this time. When it says left bound, I got to get my cursor to the left side. Right bound, get my cursor to the right side. And guess we just hit enter. Now, it didn't round perfectly, but -1.99999 is really, really close to -2. And then it said y was -8. So there's my vertex. I'm going to go ahead and write that right in the middle. I'm going to bring up my axis of symmetry because it's always the x from the vertex. And then I'm going to go to the table. That's not table. Table. I'm going to find where x is -2. I'm going to take the 2 points above it, so -3, -6, -4, 0. Take the 2 points below, -1, -6, and 0, 0. Now that this is a third one, you should notice a pattern. When you're doing your tables, the first and last numbers should be the same on the y. The second and second to last numbers should be the same on the y. Okay, so now I'm going to plot my points. -4, 0, -3, -6, -2, -8, -1, -6, and 0, 0. Drawing in my parabola. Drawing in my axis of symmetry. Okay, as I scan to the left, it goes forever. As I scan to the right, it goes forever. So my domain is all real numbers. As I scan down, it stops right here and doesn't keep going. And as I scan up, it goes forever. So I'm going to put y. I'm going to put -8. And since it's going up, it's greater than or equal to. Now remember, there is a different way to write your notation, but I'm okay with this notation today. If you use the other way, that's fine. Okay, last example, and then you're trying some on your own. Clearing this out, we're going to do -3x squared minus 18x minus 20. We're going to graph it first to see if we have a max or a min. Okay, it's curving at the top, so I have a max. So I'm going to press second trace. This time it's number 4. When it says left bound, I got to find my cursor. Your cursor always starts at 0, so I needed to move it to the right to actually get it over here. And I'm going to put it on the left side and hit enter of the curve. And then I'm going to put it on the right side of the curve and hit enter. And then guess means enter. And they have 3.00000, which will be 3, and y is 7. So my vertex is 3, 7. Putting that right in the middle. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my axis of symmetry as x equals 3. Back to my table, I'm going to find where I have 3. And I want to take the 2 points above it, which are 2, 4, and 1, -5. The 2 points below it, which are 4, 4, and 5, -5. Now make sure that they mirror each other. First and last are the same. Second and second to last are the same. plotting my points. 1, -5, 2, 4, 3, 7. Drawing it in. Okay, here's my axis of symmetry. And now as I scan to the left, it goes forever. As I scan to the right, it goes forever. So my domain is all real numbers. As I scan down, it goes forever. And as I scan up, it stops right here, which is crossing at y on 7. Since the graph goes below the 7 line, this would be less than or equal to. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just trim this out, and then I will find a way to fold it and paste it in here. You can paste it how you want to, but make sure you get it in there so you can see this. Okay, you'll be doing your worksheet now. Ask questions for help.